Good morning, beloveds. I guess it's still technically morning. And I forgot to silence my phone, so this could get interesting. Um, it is much later than my normal time um, because today is the day we celebrate the life of Ruth. And so Tom took the day off. So we turned off the alarms and then we got up. When we got up, it's only an hour later. Went to the park, spent the time in the park. Like we didn't rush through the park. Um, and then we stopped at one of those, breakfast and lunch places. I think this one's the Broken Yoke, but and ate a really good brunch ish because I have a sneaking suspicion we're only going to get 2 meals today. So this is where we're at. And then and so I have a few more things, last minute things to do, and then we are going to go and celebrate the life of Ruth. But first, it is November February 11th. Our title is The Texture of Life. The first quote is, "In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider. God also hath set the one over against the other, to the end that people should find nothing after them." Ecclesiastes 7:14. Go read that in context because it doesn't make sense to me. The second quote is, "The thinker condemns or justifies themselves through their thought." And that is The Science of Mind, page 449. Sometimes I think that those of us who are metaphysical or spiritual teachers tend to hold out a false picture of what life is supposed to be like. We are always counseling people to look for the good in all things, to look for the Christ in all people, and to look for the lesson in all events and circumstances. But we are also aware that of the rhythms of life and know that on the relative level, it doesn't move along on a steady high. It rises and falls, ebbs and flows. Like nature, life has its seasons. So if we find ourselves in a down period, there isn't anything wrong with us, provided we aren't content to stay there. The ups and downs of our moods comprise the texture of life. They make life and us more interesting. So let's not tell ourselves that we shouldn't be sad, that we shouldn't be discouraged, or we shouldn't be depressed. But once we acknowledge what our condition is and recognize how we created it for ourselves, we probably have the good we can get out of it. And then when something is no longer useful, we can let it go without regret. We just need to remember that each time we feel sad or discouraged, we will pass through this season of life, gaining a little more wisdom and acquiring a little more insight. I am resilient. I pass through the difficult moments in my life knowing that everything works for my good. And that is AD, which is one of the ones that isn't listed in the front, because we've now found two. There's AD and whoever P is, which I recently came across. So I'm not sure who that is. And that's one of those things. I'm not that only positive vibes girl. I never have been. I do believe in the texture of life. I do see the ebbs and the flows, the ups and the downs. I do talk about what we would call, and I won't call them negative emotions. I call non-preferred emotions. I do talk about anger, and I do talk about sadness, and I do talk about depression, because it is what happens. It is what happens. Life isn't always up and up and up. Life is definitely, a cycle, a rhythm. And part of what the goal is when we learn, and as AD says, we gain a little more insight, is that as we go through these cycles, we go through these rhythms, is to see that our highs become a little higher and our lows become a little higher, so that as we go through a downturn, it doesn't get as low as it did. It's very important, and AD made that reference to the cycles of nature. We're in February. Now we also live pretty far south, so a couple of our trees have already started to bloom. A couple of the trees are starting to push out the pollen producers. I got in my car the other day and it looked like I saw pollen spots on my car, and I'm like, okay, so spring is coming. And I think that's what we look for when we hit those. And when I say depressed states, I'm not talking about the clinical depression. When we hit those deep, pressed down states, is to remember that we're allowed to rest. That is the point of those. We can't function up here all the time. We're not built like that. We are built to rest. And so sometimes these states aren't necessarily depression states. They're just simply rest states. And that's one of the things that we can look at is like, okay, I've been functioning at this level of energy this whole time, and I need a break. I need to rest. And so things slow down, and maybe the frenetic energy of the high wears off. And, if people expect us to run at this level all the time, we go crazy. So there is this natural cycle, this rhythm. And I like that AD calls it a texture of life. Because it's, if we only painted with one color, if we only ran with one energy, music doesn't do that. Music comes in all of the keys, and all of the rhythms, and all of the times. There's fast music and there's slow music, and you do different things to different music. And that's life. So if you happen to be running in a low period, it won't last forever. It won't last forever. And that's one of the things to remember. I see it frequently in different forms, is your success rate for getting through bad days is 100%. So that's what you remember. And we walk away with a little insight, a little extra knowledge. And that's what I say about failure. Even if it looks like you failed, if you've learned something, you've not truly failed. So the texture of life. All right, let me grab a mission today, because there was a lot of good in this one. And that's exactly what it is. It's a reminder, life ebbs and flows just like nature does. Let yourself rest. Let yourself rest. I think that last line, we just need to remember that each time we feel sad or discouraged, we will pass through this season of life, gaining a little more wisdom and acquiring a little more insight. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to remember that we will pass through, and we will come out wiser. We will come out more insightful. We will come out with more experience, and we'll keep moving on up. All right. And that's the mission. The mission, the main goal of life is to experience, to be here and experience. Your life is the gift that Spirit gives to you. What you do with your life is your gift back to Spirit. So that's the mission today, should we choose to accept it. To understand and to know that we'll pass through this. We'll get through it. We'll get through it. And more importantly, we'll get through it together. And I think that's one of the big things that you want to remember. You're not alone. We'll get through it together. Okay. The other part of the daily is to remember to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. It's extremely important that we practice love, kindness, and compassion on ourselves, especially when we're going through the down rhythms, the slower periods, where we can take a rest. And that is When we take the moment, the time out to rest, that is frequently the most loving, kind, and compassionate thing we can do for ourselves. If the world has gone mad around us, we can curl up and rest for a minute. And then we can come at it with fresh eyes. That's why I suggest to take a deep breath before you speak. As a loving, kind, and compassionate. Take a nap, take a walk. Go and be with nature for a minute and remember who you are. Remember who you are. And when we are in those little down periods that happen, and I'm certainly not going to beat you up for them, and I encourage you not to beat yourself up, you can still make room in those, valleys for joy. You can make room for joy. And that's a good place to do it. The little joys. And if you have a big joy in there, hey, all the good, but make room for the little joys. I think that's one of the things when we're in those valleys. That's where it's extra important for us to wear the nice clothes and to eat the good food and to use the pretty china to remind us good times have been and will be again. And remember that life is a special occasion. Don't save the good stuff. And if you are having one of those valleys, if you are in the lowest point in your valley, eat dessert first. Trust me, it helps. It helps. So, can I have my hand back, please? I would also encourage you, and when I say loving, kind, compassion, I want you to remember you deserve your own love, you deserve your own kindness, you deserve your own compassion. I'm encouraging you to create a habit. I'm encouraging you to create a bank. I'm encouraging you to create a first response. Remember who you are. You're a beloved child of God. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. And when you practice on yourself, it is a spiritual practice. You create a bank, but you also create a path to the infinite source of love, kindness, and compassion, which is the center of your being. All right? Go meet the source of your being at the center of your being and plug into that infinite source. Okay. I would also encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body, whatever that looks like. I encourage you to drink plenty of water. Hydration is super important. Your brain works better when it is hydrated, and it'll help you get through those valleys a little bit faster if that's what you need to do. But hey, you want to stay in that valley and rest? It's okay. Just don't wallow and don't stay there. Rest. Take all the time you need to rest and then start your climb. Okay. And get that early in your day bright light. When we headed for the park, there was sun, and I took my sunglasses, and I needed my sunglasses for the first 10 minutes we were in the park, and then the clouds covered it up. So I did get some early morning sun. I encourage you to do it. An artificial light can work too. We're talking about resetting a circadian rhythm. See, we're talking about the rhythms of life. It's a hormone balance, and early in your day bright light helps to reset those hormones. You'll have more energy during the day. You'll sleep better at night. Trust me, it's science. You can look it up. And then this is a quote from Ernest Holmes. I got it from one of the books sometime in the time that I've been doing this. To open the windows of your soul and allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven right here, right now. What that allows me to do is to tell you every single day that heaven is a state of mind. It is not a place. But because it is a state of mind, because it is a state of consciousness, it can become any place. And if we work it and we practice, it can become every place. Even in the midst of our valleys, we can still find heaven. We don't have to climb to the peaks. That's not where heaven is. It's not there. It's within you. And remember, a couple of days ago, I got all excited about the hardened shell of experience. It's those valleys that can create that. And so that is what the point of this, opening the windows of our soul. If we open the windows of our soul when we're in the peaks and the valleys, that's when we know who we are. That's when we see the Christ consciousness and the gift. And you want to activate the Christ consciousness? The password is love. All right, beloveds. And you can always, always, always take Emma's advice. Look for the good and praise it. Even in the midst of the valley, in the darkest part of the valley, there is good because you're there and you carry your good within you always. All right. That gift of spirit. That's what you are. Okay. So look for that good and praise it. All right. I think I'm at the social media part where I remind you we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. We, if you want to know what's going on with the center, please email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on a constant contact. That constant contact, the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, it'll either take you right to the information you're requesting or to the person that can get it for you, i.e. Zoom links. Those are, you have to request those and that'll take you to the person that you can request it from. So please do that. Where am I? I guess I'm at the part where I encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an amazing day, an awesome day, an awe-filled day, a pull yourself together day, a be a little extra gentle with yourself day, a practice loving kindness day, a hug somebody day. Even if you just hug a fur baby with 4 legs, hug somebody today. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day because you are enough just as you are. You're a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, well represented. You are a brilliant light. You are a divine spark. Even when you can't see it, trust me, we can. You are a beloved child. You are God in action. You are spirit in motion. You are a godling. All right? Know who you are and trust me. Even when you're not feeling it, somebody else can see it. It's like being a butterfly. You may not be able to see the beauty of those wings, but we can. All right. And sometimes when you're looking around for the light, you find out that it's you. So bear that in mind. All right. Reverend David will probably be on around 5 p.m., but he could be running late. We do have a very important memorial celebration of life today. So all the timing's off, which is why my timing is off. So he'll be on, I promise. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time. All right, beloveds.